Hello, and welcome to this, I'm not sure, let's say 16.2 or 0.2nd episode, I don't know, of my Cities Skylines series, Vedastein. Now, I know it has been quite a long time since the last episode. To be more precise, it's about 3 months. And during those 3 months, I got quite a lot of comments or messages or whatever it was that meant you really want to see the next episode and want to see this serious progress further. And I'm sorry for that. And there have been multiple reasons for that. The initial reason why I had to take a break kinda was that I needed some buildings that weren't finished yet. Because back then I constantly worked on Renaissance styled houses, and most of the town consists of Renaissance styled houses. And when it's about the great squares or markets or plazas or whatever, I needed some bigger, more representative houses, and I didn't have those back then. So that was one reason why I stopped. And the intention was more like 1 or 2 episodes break, but after that, I don't know, I had a lack of motivation of some sort, and whatever it was, it's gone now, and we are back with Vedastein, and hopefully without any more big breaks in between, although we'll see about that. Now, what are we going to do in this episode? You see, it's not the 17th episode, but the 16B episode or whatever. And the reason for that is that over those 3 months, I noticed a few things that I'd like to improve in Vedastein, that I'd like to change. Because there were assets that I made in this time, or that came out in that time, or it's just that I noticed some things that I don't really like about the Oldtown and that I'd like to change, and mostly that's what I'm going to do in this episode. So if you're waiting for the next real episode, so to say, it will be out next week, and today we're just gonna have a recap episode and improve some things that, at least in my mind, need to be improved. And the first thing I'd like to do here is what you already see now in the right corner, on the lower right corner, and that is improving the old city wall. Now, up until now, we had the Lugo city wall the Roman city wall from Lugo, made by Armesto, which still looks great, but the problem is it doesn't quite fit the theme we have in this city, in this series. And actually that bothered me quite a long time. And I had the idea of doing a city wall network quite some time ago. And during the last, I think it was within the last month, at some point there, I guess, I finally got the inspiration and the idea to figure out how networks work and all that. So I did it, and now here I'm changing the city wall of Vedastein, the old medieval city wall of Vedastein. This network is not yet usable for you, or let's say it's not on a workshop yet. As of now, it's only published for my patrons. The reason is not that I don't want to publish it, of course. It will be published eventually for all of you guys, and hopefully this year, but I'm not quite sure about that. And the reason for that is that I maybe want to improve it or extend the set with a key with a fitting design, but we'll see if that's possible and how it looks. So it's kind of still is a work in progress. But back to, or actually starting with what are we doing here in the screen, on the screen actually. So the first thing I did was I placed some stair segments or whatever. So basically wall segments that have a stair with it, in it, whatever. And then I basically just drag the normal city wall network in between, and I think that looks quite good. And what I'm doing here is the outer city wall, so to say. So we had the inner city wall, and now I'm doing the outer city wall that has not, or that hasn't a covered walkway, but an open walkway. And yeah, that's quite realistic for old, let's say medieval towns maybe, or old German towns. I'm not quite sure where it has been used, or in what greater area it has been used. And as we now did the first part of this episode, I'd like to do the second major thing, investment. And now that we changed the city wall to something more, let's say, fitting, off to the next part of today's recap episode, or whatever you might call it. Well, what also kind of bothered me with the Old Town of Vedastein is that for once most of the streets look the same, and they don't really look like realistic Old Town streets. There are multiple reasons for that. For once, the roads in general, so not only the car part of the road, but the whole road in general, so including the pedestrian paths, or the cobble path, how's it called? Let's call it pedestrian zones, whatever. It's just too wide. I mean, what's that, some 20 meters or so? That's way too far. And so that is something I really want to change. And the other thing is that when you look at how can I call it, at modern old towns, is that a term that makes sense? Doesn't feel like it, but well, old towns, how they are in most of today's cities or today's towns, you usually have those few streets where there are many tourists, so most houses on those streets are shops, and those streets are usually blocked off for normal traffic. So the only traffic, for example, that would be on this street would be some cars that deliver to the stores. And aside from that, you have quarters or districts, quarters, whatever, areas where usually no tourist is, because it's not on the, well, let's say it like it is, usual tourist road. And that would be where still people actually live in the old town. And that is something that I didn't quite paid attention to when I built the old town, but I'd like to change it now that I am aware of this fact, or at least more aware of this fact. So basically what I'm going to do is that some streets I'm gonna make a bit narrower, for example that street over here. Some streets will get another kind of pavement, so no asphalt but cobblestone. And I'm gonna switch the zones. So for example, in this area here, beside the town hall square and the let's call it main gate, there will be a pedestrian zone where only cars that deliver to the shops are allowed. Also on this zone over here. And then there will be areas like, I'm guessing the whole area that we have here, aside from that street probably, as this gate seems like a focal point that many many visitors would use to enter the old town. But in general, this area here will be less for tourists and more for residents, so we will have way less shops and offices here and more normal homes, so to say. So off to part 2 of this episode. And I started this part 2 by at first changing the road that is now on the upper end of the screen, or upper part of the screen, whatever, and that is the main tourist track of the town. And I basically changed that to a more fitting kind of pedestrian zone road. And because of that, I also used some bollards here to show no normal or no usual cars are allowed here, but only the shop. What are the words? Only delivery trucks, or seems right. Only delivery trucks for the shops that are on this street are allowed. And then I basically just changed all those houses along the street. And that was a pretty monotonous task. That might be a way to say it. So I definitely didn't record all of it, because I did that in the whole town that we have so far, or the whole old town that we have so far, and well, let's say there are far more exciting things than watching me switching some houses. But the other thing I do here is, as I already said, I want some life in the streets here, and so I place more tables, chairs, so outside seating areas for restaurants and cafes, and some outside shop displays, or seems the right description. So that's what I'm doing here. Shop signs, and in just a few, there are we. I'm placing just a few outside displays or whatever, because I felt like the old town, as good as it looks from above, it looks old, it looks not really planned but just organically grown, but I always felt there's something missing in the old town of Vedastein. And as I said at the beginning, that was something that kept me from doing some episodes, because in some way I wasn't at all satisfied with the old town. And eventually I found out what the reason is, and it's too empty for a real old town, and the buildings are sometimes too far apart from each other, and that I'm fixing that, as I said, by just making some roads narrower. And in the end, I think it was the right approach to improve the old town. And here again, just switching some houses from residential or office, or mostly from residential to commercial, and later on, although not recorded, vice versa, from commercial to residential. And just by that, and the fact that I decreased the width of some streets, it already feels more, more natural for an old town, so to say. And another thing that is quite useful, maybe, are these old gas lanterns that I made, I think, a month ago. They also add quite a bit of old town feeling to the old town, and also that was the intention of those. And those are already released in a workshop, in case you didn't see it up until now, so you can use those in your city. And here are we in the third part of this recap episode of Vedastein, and this is lightning? No, lightning is wrong. Lighting or illumination, if that is a better word. And I'm just placing my old gas lanterns all over the already existing Oldtown. And that is some freestanding, some wall-mounted lamps, and I think that adds quite a bit of feeling to the Oldtown and improves it by quite a bit. Now, I would have liked to give you some cinematics from ground level at night, so you can see the wall-mounted lamps in full, in full perspective or whatever, but sadly that wasn't possible and all my attempts looked rather bad. Maybe there is some good solution for that, but well, what can I do? We're coming closer to the end of this small recap episode. The next episode will be as usual and we really have progress in the town, but this episode was a bit shorter and a bit more unusual. But still, I hope you liked it, and I'd love if you would be back in the next episode of Vedastein. For now, I'm gonna say goodbye, have some fun with the cinematics at the end of this episode, and if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel or to write some comments in case you don't like something or actually do like something. If you want to support me, you can do so by supporting me on Steam, on YouTube, and of course on Patreon. I would love if you would do so, but you definitely don't have to. Sorry, I'm a bit, excited that I'm back in the series, so I might it might seem that I'm a bit confused, but whatever. That's it for today. We'll see you again in the next episode next week, and until then, have a nice time.